Kunja Vihari. Srila Prabhupada ki Canto, Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki Rai Gaur Premanand, all glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to some devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord of Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Jnanatirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you again for coming for this Bhagavatam glorification. We are continuing with Canto 10 of the Samabonam, chapter 12, killing of the demon Aghāsura, and verse number 41. So we are almost at the end of the chapter, so we will recite 3-4 verses and then we'll try to glorify them. So text number 41. Srīrajo vacha Brahman kalantara kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jaguhu paugandake ruka Jaguhu paugandake ruka Srīrajo vacha Brahman kalantara kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jaguhu paugandake ruka
Srīrajo vacha Brahman kalantara kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jagu paugandake ruka
Srīrajo vacha
Brahman kalantara kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jaguhu paugandake ruka
Srīraja vacha Brahman kalantare kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jagu paugandake garbhaka
Srīrajo vacha
Brahman kalantara kritam Tatkalinam katham bhave Yat kaumare harikritam Jagu paugandake
Synonym and translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Synonyms. Srīrajo vacha Maharaj Parikshit inquired. Brahman, O learned Brahmana Sukadeva Goswami, Kala Antarakritam, things done in the past at a different time in the Kaumar age. Tatkalinam, described as happening now in the Bhagavata age. Katham bhave, how could it be so? Yat, which pastime? Kaumari, in the Kaumar age. Harikritam was done by Krishna. Jaguhu, they described Paugandake, in the Pauganda age after 1 year. Arbakaha, all the boys. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, O great sage, how could things done in the past have been described as being done at the present? Lord Shri Krishna performed this pastime of killing Aghāsura during his Kaumar age. How then, during his Pauganda age, could the boys have described this incident as having happened recently? Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiraya nashtapraya shvabhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti naishtiki So of course in this verse there is no purport, and as we described before, that Prabhupada was almost winding up his pastimes on this earthly planet, and he was preparing to go. Of course, we see from Prabhupada's Leela that Prabhupada always left his staying here or his departure in the hands of Krishna and also in the hands of his devotees. Because he said, if you want me to stay here, please pray. And if you pray hard, Krishna might just give you some more time. Of course, Prabhupada, just left everything in the hands of Lord Krishna. So you see in the last few chapters, few verses, there are not many purports, and if the purports are there, they are very short purports. Because you can imagine, Prabhupada was feeling very, very weak at that time. He was, he left on the 14th of November 1977, and probably practically for last 6 to 8 weeks he was not eating anything, and anything he was just drinking was some arka which is given by the Vaidraj and some liquid. That's about it. There's no solid food stuff going. Here we understand that the killing of Aghāsura happened when Krishna was 5 years. But the description, the cowherd boys are describing it when he was 6 years. So that 1 year the Brahma Vimohan Leela happened. So we heard about that, right? Yes? No? Yeah, okay. We go to verse 42. I'll just recite on my own and then read, and then we can continue. Tad bruhi me mahayogin param kautuhalam guru nunam etat hare eva maya bhavati nanitha. Tad bruhi, therefore please explain that, me unto me, mahayogin, O great yogi, param, very much, kautuhalam, curiosity, guru, O my Lord, my spiritual master. You see, guru, when it's O at the end, it's just singular. We chant Vande Guru Shri Charanarvinda. Yesterday we were discussing that Vande Guru Shri Charanarvinda means, we are talking about a single Guru. That's our spiritual master, initiating spiritual master. Guru, O my Lord, my spiritual master, Nunam, otherwise, etat, this incident, Harehe, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Eva, indeed, Maya, the illusion, Bhavati, becomes, na anyatha, nothing more. O greatest yogi, translation, O greatest yogi, my spiritual master, kindly describe why this happened. I am very much curious to know about it. I think that it was nothing but another illusion due to Krishna. Purport. Krishna has many potencies, Parasya Sakti Vividheva Shrute, Shvetashvatara Upanishad 6.8. The description of Aghāsura was disclosed after 1 year. Some act of Krishna's potency must have been involved. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was very curious to know about this, and he requested Sukadeva Goswami to explain it. Text 43. Vayam dhanyatama loke guropi kshatra bandhavaha vayam pibamo muhustvattaha punyam krishna katha amritam vayam dhanyatama loke guropi kshatra bandhavaha vayam pibamo muhustvattaha punyam krishna katha amritam. Vayam, we are, dhanya tamaha, most glorified. So dhanya, dhanya dhara, dhanya taran, dhanya tama. So we know that guhya, guhyatam, guhyataranu, guhyatamam. In Bhagavad Gita, at the end of 18th chapter, Krishna speaks about guhya, guhyatara and guhyatama. Confidential, more confidential and most confidential. So here, dhanya tamaha means most glorified. Loke, in this world, Guru, O my Lord, my spiritual master. Api, although Kshatra Bandhava, the lowest of the Kshatriyas, because we did not act like Kshatriyas. Vayam, we are. Pibamaha, drinking. Muhu, always. Tvattaha, from you. Punyam, pious. Krishna Katha Amritam, the nectar of Krishna Katha. O my Lord, my spiritual master, although we are the lowest of Kshatriyas, we are glorified and benefited because we have the opportunity of always hearing from you the nectar of the pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are very confidential it is not ordinarily possible to hear such activities unless one is very, very fortunate. What do you think of us? We are fortunate. Prabhupada said, I can kick all the obstacles out just by my one kick to you, and I can make all good fortune for you. This is our fortune, that we are following in the footsteps of our spiritual master, who is following in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. Parikshit Maharaj placed himself a Kshatriya Bandhava, which means the lowest of the Kshatriyas. So what quality is described here? What quality is described here? Humility, yes, humility. Parikshit Maharaj, even though he is one of the greatest Kshatriyas, one of the greatest rulers, he is calling himself the lowest of the Kshatriyas. The qualities of the Kshatriya are described in Bhagavad Gita, and although a general quality of the Kshatriya is Ishwar Bhava, we see in the Bhagavad Gita 18:42 or 43, when Krishna is describing all the qualities of Brahman and Kshatriya, so it's Dritidaksham, Tejo, then he says Ishwar Bhava, Yuddhecha, Apalayanam cha. So Ishwar Bhava means one who is always going to control. You see, many of us, might have hidden Kshatriya in us. When we are organizing festivals, when we are leading some initiatives, that is the Ishwar Bhava, the controlling propensity we have. It's not wrong, it's something nice, but we can use that in Krishna's service. You see, in the university, when they group assignments, when they do, automatically one person will stand out that, okay, they will lead. So leader means Ishwar Bhava. So Kshatriya means leading. It's not Ishwar Bhava that means, we become God, I become Ishwar. That's not the Bhava. The Bhava here is that, yes, that's our natural tendency, but we use that in Krishna's service. The qualities of Kshatriyas are described in Bhagavad Gita, and although the general quality of the Kshatriya is Ishwar Bhava, the tendency to rule, a Kshatriya is not supposed to rule over a Brahmana. Thus Maharaj Parikshit regretted that he had wanted to rule over the Brahmanas and had therefore been cursed. He considered himself the lowest of the Kshatriyas. Dhanat Ishwar Bhavascha Kshatram Karma Subhavajan, 1843. There is no doubt that Maharaj Parikshit had the good qualities of a Kshatriya, but as a devotee he presented himself with submissiveness and humility as the lowest of the Kshatriyas, remembering his act of wrapping a dead serpent around the neck of a Brahman. The student and disciple has the right to ask the Guru about any confidential service, and it is the duty of the Guru to explain these confidential matters to his disciple. Some very important points Prabhupada is making here. 10:12:44. Shisuta vacha irtam sma prishta satubadarayanis. Irtam sma prishta. Tatsmaritanantar rita akhilendriya krichrat punarlabdha bahir pratyahate tam bhagavato mato matam. Srisuta vacha ittam sma prishtaha satu badarayani tasmaritananta ritkale akhilendriya krichrat punarlabdha bahir tatyahatam bhagavato mato matam. Srisuta Uvacha, Srisuta Goswami said, Ittam in this way, Sma in the past, Prishtaha being inquired from, Saha, he too indeed, Badarayani, Sukadeva Goswami, Tat by him, Sukadeva Goswami. Smarita Ananta, as soon as Lord Krishna was remembered, Rita lost in ecstasy, Akhila Indriya, all actions in the external senses, Krichrat with great difficulty, Puna again, Labda Bahi Drishihi, being revived his external sensory perception, Shanay slowly, Pratyaha replied Tam unto Maharaj Parikshit, Bhagavata Uttama Uttama, O great saintly person, greatest of all devotees, Shaunaka. Translation, Suta Goswami said, O Shaunaka, greatest of saints and devotees. When Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami in this way, Sukadeva Goswami immediately remembering subject matters about Krishna, within the core of his heart, externally lost contact with the actions of his senses. Thereafter, with great difficulty, he revived his external sensory perception and began to speak to Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 10th canto, 12th chapter of the Srimad Bhāgavatam, entitled The Killing of the Demon Aghāsura. So here we can see so many wonderful points. And just in 1 hour, we can discuss so many things. What is the duty of a disciple? What is the right of a disciple? What is the duty of a guru? So many things are given here. Prabhupada just opens, like almost every Siddhanta to us. So here we see, in this chapter we saw the killing of the demon Aghāsura. Now, a couple of weeks back we saw that Aghāsura is a demon who represents violence, right? It represents violence and cruelty. Actually, it's interesting, after this program, we have to go and speak at a place where we will speak about anti-Semitism and how they have established a royal, they are trying to establish a royal commission, and we have to contribute our experience of us facing anti-Semitism. And anti-Semitism, as you know, is basically cruelty and violence against people who do not share the same faith with you. So Aghāsura here, he represents cruelty and violence. Now Aghāsura was the younger brother of and Putana. So he's a younger brother of Bhāgavatam and Putana. And Bhāgavasura represents duplicity, deceptiveness and false behavior. Because Bhāgavasura was just standing like a yogi, false yogi, and then he tries to kill Krishna. Putana, of course, represents pseudo-guru, false guru. She comes, as someone who's, your benefactor, but then she's actually not the well-wisher, but she's trying to kill Krishna. So this way, these demons, they are representing different anarthas we have. And we also saw that Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we devotees, when we worship the holy name, when we start chanting our names, in the morning, then we first petition to the Lord for the strength to get rid of all these anarthas, to get rid of all these demons. And when we do this regularly, you might ask, how come by chanting every day, our heart becomes clean? We see that nashta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. So when we are studying this Bhagavatam, how does it happen? So here, when we pray to Krishna to remove all the anarthas, all the obstacles, then Krishna does that in the form of his holy name. And as we know, Aghāsura, in the previous life, he was a very, very beautiful personality. He was the son of a demon, Shankashura. Now, Aghāsura, the name itself is made of 2 words. Agha itself is sin, right? What is the name of Arjun? Relating to this, Krishna calls him as what? Anaga. Anaga means one who is sinless, no sin. Anaga. And here is Agha, right? Anaga means no sin, and here is Agha. So he's Agha and Asura. He's a Asura full of sin, so it's like double whammy. So he was the son of a demon called Shankashura, but he was very handsome, Demons doesn't mean that they got horns and big moustache and all that. That's all portrayed. But demons can be very attractive also. They are very attractive. So this Shankashura's son was very attractive, but he met a Muni called Ashtavakra. You might have heard about Ashtavakra. The name Ashtavakra means? Yeah, he was deformed. His body was deformed at 8 places. His body was completely deformed. And another story of Ashtavakra is, he laughed at Ashtavakra. This boy laughed at Ashtavakra, and Ashtavakra cursed him that you may become the ugliest of the creatures on earth, ugliest of the serpents. So he became Aghāsura. But then he, again, as it happens in the scriptures, again repentance happens immediately. So he repented, he bowed down to the sage Ashtavakra, and he said, okay, don't worry, you will be liberated by the Lord himself. So that's the background story of Aghāsura. And Ashtavakra, another story goes, he went in the assembly of, I don't know whether it was, I heard it was Dasharatha Maharaj, but I'm not very sure. All his Brahmins and the ministers and all that, they again started laughing at Ashtavakra. And Ashtavakra looked at them and he addressed the king. He said, why have you assembled the army of cobblers? And, no one understood, the king understood. And then he says, cobblers means one who deals with leather, the skin. Right? So he says, these ministers, these kings, these priests have only seen my skin, and that's why they're laughing at me. So when we, again see someone, when we are at a superficial stage of our spiritual life, then we see someone according to their body, the bodily concept of life. But when we go deeper into our sadhana, when we go deeper into our spiritual life, then we understand, Pandita Samadarshina, that we are all, Atmas, and then we have also Paramatma residing within us, and then we see everyone with equal vision. So a couple of weeks back we heard about different types of hearing. We heard about incidental hearing, means, right now we are doing incidental hearing, that we hear whatever we come across. It might be very simple philosophy, it might be very deep philosophy. So today we will discuss some more topics of hearing, time permitting of course. So incidental hearing was that hearing which we come across when we hear like this, whichever way it is given, the emphasis is presented, and then we continue collating this information, this incidental hearing in our minds. Then there was a purposeful hearing where when we hear something, then we want to hear about that specific topic, and then we go deeper into that with a purpose that yes, I want to know more about that topic. Last week, 2 weeks back, when I spoke about these anarthas and these different types of hearing, devotees asked me where did we get this notes from, and then that notes was given, and then when you go on that becomes your purposeful hearing. The next is practice hearing. Practice hearing means you hear about particular pastime with the purpose of recalling it when you're doing other service, right? Like when you're cooking, you might want to remember what Mother Yashoda was singing for Krishna when she was churning yogurt, right, into butter. So this is called purposeful hearing or practice hearing, that you want to practice while you are doing other service. And the last one is specific hearing, the fixed type of hearing, where this is again advanced type, where we speak about Krishna's Nitya Leela and Naimittika Leela. We heard about Krishna's Nitya Leela, which was, he does every day during the 8 praharsa, the 3 hours of the day and night. And we hear about those pastimes. And then there is Naimittika Leela, which is occasional hearing of these pastimes. So now, today we'll discuss a little bit more about hearing, right? Because we've heard the pastime of Aghāsura. Now, in the pastime, how many verses are there? 40, 45 verses are there. Yes? Do you think that pastime just happened in within 12, 13, 14, 15 verses? No. When Krishna does some pastime, everyone is involved. Everyone is involved. One thing we heard was that when Krishna is going into the cave-like mouth of Aghāsura, what are the devatas thinking? We heard just a few weeks back, a few days back. What are the devatas thinking? What do you think? Come on. What are the devatas thinking when Krishna went inside? Yes. And what did they say? Alas, alas. Right? They said, alas, alas. What is Krishna doing here? Yeah? What is Krishna doing here? They were worried. in every pastime, we just, of course, Bhagavatam gives brief description. It's a discussion we have to have today. On one hand, we are also told, we were told in the beginning that if a slok doesn't have a purport, then you go to the next verse and then you continue discussion that. But then Prabhupada also told his disciples that you must write. You must go deeper into your research and write. And then we have books like Sri Damodar Janni by Shivram Maharaj, Sadhu Hridayam Mahyam by Shivram Maharaj, where a pastime which is very concisely given in Bhagavatam, but he describes in great detail. Now, when he describes in great detail, it is not that he is just making it up. He is quoting from Jiva Goswami, from Sanatana Goswami, from Sridhar Maharaj, people like that. And he is also giving evidence of how he has got this poetic license. Because even when you want to write, you have to have some sort of, you have to follow some sort of rules. So he says, yes, the poetic license is there. So on that basis, we are writing. We also know that in the Damodar Leela, for example, Damodar Leela is happening in Nanda Bhavan. And then when Damodar Leela is happening, Krishna is going through different emotions. Yashoda Maya is going through different emotions. And these emotions are again discussed by the birds who are there. The Devatas who are also watching this, they are discussing. Like Shivram Maharaj writes in this book, says, there's Sukha, there's Sari, there's Owl, there's different birds that are there. And they are thinking, when Mother Yashoda picks up the stick, Sukha is saying, why is she doing this? And the Sari, Sukha and Sari, of course, are the two parrots as we know, right? Sukha and Sari are the two parrots in Nanda Baba's courtyard. So they are discussing that, what is Mother doing? And then Sari says, but Krishna has never done any mischief like this, of this magnitude. So he needs punishment. But then Sukha says, but taking a stick, this is like unprecedented. It never happened like that. So this way, when any pastime is happening, it is just not that, whatever is described in Bhagavatam, when we progress in our devotional life, of course right now Bhagavatam is given to us. So we focus on the study of Bhagavatam. But then when we progress in our spiritual life, we also want to know, yes, when we meditate, especially when we go through these different types of hearing, when we hear, question must come to our mind. That the boys were discussing, this looks like a nice cave, a nice playground, can you go inside? Do you think just one opinion was there and they went inside? No, the boys were also arguing. Should we go in? Should we not go in? Should we wait for Krishna? Should we have Krishna in the front? Should we have Krishna at the back? So these discussions are going all the time. Same with Devatas, when they are watching Damodar Leela from the top, they are also discussing, what's going to happen? Why is Krishna's Satya Sankalpa Shakti winning now when he's running? Why is Krishna not getting caught? Then someone says, Krishna is the Lord, he will do whatever he wants to do. But then some other devata says, no, she's trying so hard, and Krishna says, I am Bhaktavatsala. He has to be caught. So this way, this description is going on and on and on between these birds and these devatas also. Now we are told we are supposed to hear this, right? Then we hear about Gaur Leela and Krishna Leela. Now we are told that Krishna Leela, yes, we are given. Gaur Leela, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also discusses Krishna Leela. We know that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also discusses Krishna Leela. The difference is that, as we know many times, and most times actually from my experience, that our scriptures give us the climax right in the beginning. Our scriptures give us the climax. Normally climax happens at the end, but our scriptures give us the climax right in the beginning. For example, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, right? Please don't go into that now and think that I've become an advanced devotee. I'm just giving an example to prove a point. Madhya Leela, second chapter, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now Madhya Leela is like Adi Leela is, you can say how many chapters are there in Adi Leela? 17 chapters. And then out of them, 12 are the preface of, you can say 12 are the Mangalacharan of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Madhya Leela, first few chapters are just the beginning of the whole scripture. But in the second chapter, Krishna's Kaviraj, he gives a synopsis of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels as Srimati Radharani in the most intense separating moments with Krishna. We cannot even imagine that. But we are given right in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he's feeling the separation and he's speaking about that. As far as we are concerned, we are advised that we should hear and relish descriptions of Krishna's pastimes as they appear in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meditations, right? And this is the principle of what we call incidental hearing. That when we come across that, when we hear that, this is incidental hearing. Now, even for this, we have to understand that we have to have a mood. Now, what mood? The mood of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The mood of the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will not discuss the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna in front of everyone. Who will he discuss in front of? His intimate associates, Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, Sarvam Bhattacharya, people like them. When they are together, Mahaprabhu will go into their ecstasy. Now, the associates' mood, this is Mahaprabhu's mood, that he will discuss only in the association of his intimate devotees. But what is the mood of the associates? Their mood is that Mahaprabhu is relishing this pastime. So we must just become an instrument in helping him to relish this pastime. Now we saw here in the 44th verse, can someone read the 44th verse we are studying today? Suta Goswami said, O Shaunaka, greatest of saints and devotees, when Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami in this way, Sukadeva Goswami, immediately remembering subject matters about Krishna, within the core of his heart, externally lost contact with the actions of his senses. So this is what happens to Sukadeva Goswami when he is describing, even when he is just thinking of Krishna, that he is losing touch with his external senses. He just goes into samadhi, he goes into trance. Now that is the situation of the Mahabhagavatas, the very advanced devotees. The devotees who are along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Ramananda Rai, Sarvam Bhattacharya, they are also at that level. So here, after this, what we see? Thereafter, with great difficulty, he revived the external sensory perception and began to speak to Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha. The word also used in Sanskrit is Shanai. What does Shanai mean? Shanai means slowly. It's not something happening very quickly. So when they go into trance, coming out of trance takes time. And we've also seen Prabhupada, going into trance many, many times. Once he was, just leading Jai Radha Madhav in Mayapur, and then suddenly a devotee saw that tears were flowing out of his eyes like, the liquid coming out of syringe with that force. And then he went into samadhi and the devotees didn't know what to do. And then there were a couple of devotees who knew what had to be done. So after some time passed, then they slowly, softly started chanting Harekrishna Mahamantra. And then after some time, Prabhupada came into his external consciousness. So this way, the Mahabhagavats, the intimate associates of Mahaprabhu, also want to just become an instrument so that Mahaprabhu can relish the Leela of Krishna. And then Mahaprabhu also will make arrangements for their own entrance into Krishna Leela. Because he doesn't want himself, he also wants these intimate devotees. So he will also make arrangements. So for us, the message we get is that we should maintain this awe and reverence. This awe and reverence, even when the pujaris are worshipping the deities, Prabhupada told that even when these are Radha Krishna deities, we should worship them as Lakshmi Narayan. We should worship them as Lakshmi Narayan, because Lakshmi Narayan worship is awe and reverence. There is no intimacy there. Krishna, of course, when the Brajvasis are dealing with Krishna, there is intimacy there. As far as we are concerned, we are supposed to have this awe and reverence. And when we keep this reverential distance from Krishna's intimate pastimes, at the same time we should start or continue reading these nectarian books given by Prabhupada to us. So this way we can enter into Krishna's pastimes. Then, what instructions did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers give on how devotees should hear directly of Krishna? And what should they hear? Yes, so these are the instructions also given to us. Because we came straight from the 2nd canto to the 10th canto, right? Of course, the beginning is the killing of Aghāsura demon, which is a nice, playful pastime. Krishna doesn't exert much influence, and this is what we call a naimittika lila. Krishna's killing of demons is occasional. Of course, it happens every day, almost every day, but we know also that this is the occasional pastime. It's not Nitya Lila, that it doesn't happen like 24 hours. The Lila of Krishna, which is Nitya Lila, which is happening 24 hours a day. 3 hours prahar and 8 times Ashtakalya Lila. So, Krishna's pastimes, these are very full of variety. The Prabhupada calls them as variegated pastimes. And when we hear, this gives us happiness, and also these are practice for us to become perfect devotees. When we hear the occasional pastimes. Now, Krishna's pastimes are, as we discussed last time, are called Nitya Lila and Naimittika Lila. The daily pastime and incidental pastime. In the beginning, we start hearing the occasional pastime. But then the pastime becomes more confidential. So it's mentioned that as we advance, the development of our hearing happens in 2 stages. So now we come to the interesting part here. It is the different types of pastimes. They are called mantropasana and swarasiki. Right? Mantropasana. Mantropasana means you can see from the word itself the pastime, or Virat Prabhu requests us to sometime memorize these verses, right? And then what do we do with the verses? We recite them and meditate upon the name, form, qualities, pastimes, abode of Krishna. So that is the form of mantropasana. And mantropasana is made up of 2 words. Which are the 2 words? Rocket science? Mantra and upasana. What is the meaning of upasana? Meditation, yes. Meditation upon these pastimes. So, when we hear these mantras, when we recite these mantras, then we should be able to worship Krishna by our meditation. Mantropasana. At our level, at the basic level, this is good enough. This is good enough, mantropasana. We should actually practice more and more. Reading these verses, memorizing these verses, meditating on these verses. These are called mantropasana. Now, however, when we advance in spiritual platform, our specific relationship with Krishna will inspire us in the process of realized hearing. Realized hearing. Now, that is what we call swarasiki pastime. Swarasiki means the confidential pastime which enthuses us to become Rasika Bhakta. Rasika Bhakta means someone who will relish the mellows of the pastime. So, it is quite dangerous to jump into the pastimes of, which are intimate in Krishna Lila. And that's why Prabhupada always warned us against straight, jumping on the 10th canto, studying Krishna Leela. Because even a simple, if we are not purified, a simple pastime of killing the Aghāsura demon, we will not be hearing with, respect. We will have questions. We will start questioning. Now, how can any serpent or any snake, have such a big mouth? Can't the boy see that, this is not a cave, it's a snake? These questions we might start asking if we have not been purified by our practices, by studying the first 9 cantos and by not following the process. So Swarasiki comes when the devotees are in advanced stage of hearing. So, interestingly, the 2 verses of Brahma Samhita, now we'll see that, how it happens. So, Jiva Goswami, he tells us very wonderfully, now hear very carefully. He says that these pastimes are the process which are compared to the Ganga, the river Ganga. So there is a river Ganga there, and then there are many lakes around the Ganga. So what the novices do, the novices like us, the new devotee, what we do is we relish and describe here Krishna's pastime or his sports, just by like mantropasana. We hear, we meditate, and then we worship. So we are like going slowly from bottom to top, slowly like going in a river. But the lakes, the advanced devotees, they are like swans. They are going from one lake to the other, and they are going from one pastime to the other. For us, we have to progress, but they are like gliding like a swan from one pastime to another. And Jiva Goswami, he uses the first 2 verses of Brahma Samhita as the example of this. I will speak about the second one first because we are still on Mantropasana stage. So in Mantropasana stage, when we have to meditate on the Lord, then the verse of Brahma Samhita which Prabhupada very interestingly put in our Govindam prayers. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksha Bhāgavatam samasitam buddha sundaranga Kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So this mantra, this verse from Brahma Samhita describes Krishna's beautiful form. And as we know, one pastime with Prabhupada, and one man, he asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, you have, you've been, teaching this Bhakti Yoga for many years. Have you seen God? Prabhupada said, yes, I've seen God. Can you describe God? Yes, I can describe God. Okay, describe. And Prabhupada quotes this verse. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksam. So Venu means flute. Venum kvanantam aravinda dalayataksam. That means Krishna, who is adept at playing his flute. And Arvinda means like a lotus petal. Dalayataksam, his eyes are like lotus petals. So someone who is adept at playing flute, his eyes are like lotus petals, his head bedecked with peacock feather, and then he's the Tribhanga Swarupa, he's got a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds. This is Krishna. Bhāgavatam samasitam buddha sundaranga. All his limbs, all his angas are very beautiful. Govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. So when we meditate on this verse, we are actually performing our worship, our upasana, mantropasana. This way there are many verses given in the scriptures where we can recite, memorize and meditate on these verses. Even when we speak of this pastime, Shri Radha Girgopal Dhari ki jai. Even when we think of this pastime, we can think, how Krishna, he's very playful, but at the same time, very sort of, he's scared that how will he, he's thinking, how will he save his friends? But at the same time, he is very compassionate to his friends. And as I think you quoted that verse where he's not only delivering himself, he's not only delivering his friends, he's delivering Aghāsura, and then he's delivering himself. I need to get the reference from you later on. Yeah. So, this is what, we hear from this pastime, that yes. And when we meditate on these pastimes, it's not that once we hear, we just forget about it and go on with our daily life. This is the whole point of us going from the novice stage, from a beginning stage of devotional service to the highest stage. So this is the Mantropasana verse. And then the first verse in Brahma Samhita, Chintamani prakara sadma shukalpa vriksha laksha vritesha surbira vipalayantam lakshmi sahatra satasambhrama sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So here, this is a Swarasiki verse. Swarasiki means verse. This is the verse which is relished by the Rasika devotees at a higher stage, at an advanced stage, where they are gliding from one pastime to another. So here it says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending cows. So what is he doing? The Leela is tending cows. Right? After that, yielding all desires. So he's not only tending cows, he is a kalpa vriksha. He is giving desires. And as Rajdeepika pointed out, that he's fulfilling the desires of the cowherd boys, the serpent who's going to be liberated, his own desire to help his friends, in abodes built with spiritual gems. So then the Leela comes, how is his abode? From Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela, Dhama, all these are getting revealed to these advanced devotees by the Lord's mercy. In abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So many pastimes are given here that these wonderful advanced devotees whose footsteps you should follow in. And they are actually helping the Lord, in the case of Lord Chaitanya, to remember these pastimes and relish these pastimes and then go deeper into these pastimes. They are not on their own going to enter that. Mahaprabhu is going to make arrangements. Like for us, Prabhupada has made arrangements by giving these books to us. That yes, from our beginning stages, we can hear these verses, meditate on these verses, recite these verses, go deeper into these verses, and from the stage of Mantropasana, praying one day, that one day we can also become Swarasiki Bhaktas and relish these Swarasiki verses. Prabhupada, I will end here with Prabhupada on the boat Jalaluta when he composed this wonderful bhajan, Krishna Tava Punya Have Bhai. It's one of my favorite bhajans because, so many different facets of devotional service in a very, very sweet manner is given. In a very, very sweet manner it is given. Agnidev Prabhu, he sings this bhajan very beautifully. So I would recommend everyone to hear that bhajan and meditate on these pastimes. Let me just see if I can find that bhajan. Okay, now from here it starts.
Krishna Tava Punya Have Bhai, Krishna Tava Punya Have Bhai, Krishna Tava Punya Have Bhai.
Ayati Janman Janmantare Tumi Moratir Sati Bhuliya Mayanati Ayati Janman Janmantare Adi hoye sujoga Jadi hoy joga joga Adi Krishna tava punya habe bhai Krishna tava punya habe bhai. This word of importance. Gocharane ghuri dino bho Gocharane ghuri dino bho Kucha kriti ban khai luta luti Se din ka behabe mo Kota ban chuka kriti ban khai luta luti Se din ka behabe mo. I'll explain you these verses. Krishna tava punya habe bhai Krishna tava punya habe bhai Tumhara smaran bhelo Tori asata ki lamta Tumhara smaran bhelo Bodi asada ki namta Ami tomar nitya das Tai koriye to aas Tuma bina anya gati na Ami tomar nitya das Tai koriye to aas Tuma bina anya gati na Tava punya habe bhai Krishna tava punya habe bhai Ye punya kori ne jabe Radha Rani kushi habe Tumhati boli tumhai ta
Ruvayati boli tumhai ta Ruvayati boli tumhai
This transcendental Harekrishna mantra is not a sound production of this material world. It is the transcendental vibration from the spiritual world. Gurukera prema dhana hari nama sankirtan. This Harinam Sankirtan is not a man-made musical sound. No. This is the song to develop love of God. And there is no difference between Krishna and his name. If we chant carefully without any offense, then gradually he will be completely purified.
So here, this verse Prabhupada actually, this wonderful prayer Prabhupada says, at the end he says that when will that happen? When Krishna is, going around frolicking in the forest of Vrindavan, tending his cows, and when will I become a part of that? And then he says, one day I remembered that wonderful pastime. And then of course we can remember any pastime. And then he says, I called out to you, Krishna. Why? Because there is no other shelter ahead. Ami tomar nityadas tai puriyetwas toma bina anya gati nai. There was no other destination except you. And this we can come to this stage by just chanting our rounds every day, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, meditating on these wonderful verses, both mantrapasana and then later on Swariki verses, and then make our life successful. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Any questions or comments? Corrections, reflections, realizations? Yes, Manishwari.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I wanted to ask, there's so many bhajans by senior Vaishnavas, and we also have the Mahamantra. So where is all the bhajans coming to, like, our movement? Like, all the Naratan Das, Thakur Bhajan, all them. We have the Mahamantra already, when we sing. Yes.
So what's the question?
What is the importance of these bhajans? How, like, yes.
These bhajans actually help us in understanding the pastimes, understanding even the Mahamantra, and getting deeper into our relationship with Sri Nam Prabhu. Because we know the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Krishna himself.
Yeah.
So when we want to establish the relationship with Sri Nam Prabhu in our daily chanting, these bhajans help us very, very much. Yeah. Anyone else, anything? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you were explaining about the Parikshit Maharaj story today, and many times we hear there are so many stories, and we say that it is Krishna's Leela, but if it is Krishna's Leela, then where is our limited desire?
Okay, so of course, everything happens by Krishna's will, that's there. But if there's no independent will, if there's no free will, then where will the fun come from? Everyone wants to have some fun, even Krishna wants to have some fun. So he has given this little free will, and if Parikshit Maharaj didn't have any free will, we would not be hearing today this verse where Sukadeva Goswami, just by remembering a little bit about Krishna Katha, he goes into trance. If this wouldn't have happened, we wouldn't be sitting here and discussing this wonderful pastime. So Krishna not only gives this free will to everyone, but he gives it to us also so that we can gather here and hear these wonderful pastimes. Does it make sense? Otherwise there's no fun. From tomorrow just giving roti, nothing else. Everyday roti, no variety. Is it okay? If every day the same thing happens, then there's no fun. There has to be some variety in life. Make sense? Okay. Any questions, anyone else? Oh, sorry, yes.
Just a comment, Prabhuji. Like verses where there is no purpose. Srila Gurudev mentioned that those verses actually are complete in themselves.
Yeah.
And so we should not just leave them thinking that they are not important, because Prabhupada has not commented on them. But we should go into the word to word and try to meditate on them. For example, the last verse that you spoke on is so nice that it really tells, if we meditate and introspect on this verse, that actually this is the glorification of Parikshit Maharaj, because the Parikshit Maharaj's question was so beautiful that it made Shukadeva Goswami think about the reason why there was 1 year gap, and in that meditation he was just living in the pastime of Brahma Mohan Leela and containing to control himself. So in the word to word, we see that all actions of external senses with great difficulty yet to control, because Smarti Ananta was he remembered Krishna. So in this way, in the association of so then we can get closer through Prabhupada's books to these pastimes, at least, and appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, bro. Yeah, you mentioned that the verses where Prabhupada is not given the purpose are completing themselves. Especially like in Bhagavad Gita, the most important verse where Krishna says that one who preaches my glories to others is the most dear, and there's no one else more dear to him. There's no purport there. When I was reading for the first time, I was thinking, if this is one of the most important verses on which the whole movement is based, and Prabhupada is not given any purport. So then, when you hear like this, it makes sense that yes. So this is the whole idea that we learn every day. Every day. What do they say? That the day we stop learning is the last day of our lives. Hare Krishna. Srīmad bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His way Sakhi-Rai Prabhuji.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's a very beautiful bhajan, actually. Krishna